Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program. After filing his candidacy for president, former Senator Bongbong Marcos reveals President Rodrigo Duterte was his choice for vice president. The Marcos camp calls the emergency tax blast as an attempt to sabotage his presidential bid. The National Telecommunications Commission now orders a probe. And later, amid controversies, how does he plan to become a unifying leader? Presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos joins us live. Former Senator Bongbong Marcos officially files his certificate of candidacy for president on Wednesday, October 6th, but without a running mate. Marcos says the plan was actually to adopt President Rodrigo Duterte as vice president, but plans changed when the latter withdrew his bid and was replaced by Senator Bongo. Also, what exactly are his plans in order to have a so-called unifying leadership? And what concrete actions will he take to address pressing issues like the COVID-19 pandemic? Let's go straight to the source of the story. Joining us from Ilocos Norte is former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Senator, welcome to the source. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Thank you, Pinky, and magandang umaga sa lahat ng mga nanonood.
I watched your announcement the other day, and of course, you're filing for your certificate of candidacy yesterday at Pasay City. Sabi mo dun sa inyong Q&A with the press that the plan was really to have President Rodrigo Duterte as your vice presidential running mate. Pero sabi mo nga, nagulat ho kayo dun sa events, as many, nung nangyari noong Sabado. What happened, Senator? Hindi ho ba kayo nag-usap? Because kung siyang planong vice president ninyo, hindi ho ba kayo nasabihan na hindi na siya tatakbo?
Wala namang siguro nakakaalam lang siguro nun na gagawin nila yun sa Sabado last Saturday. Sila lang because I am not privy to the discussions sa loob ng PDP. So siguro doon nila plinano at doon nila pinag-agtuhan. Hindi naman namin alam. Nagulat na ako nung balitaan ko lang na nag-withdraw si Pangulong Duterte at ipinalit bilang kandidato sa Duso, si Senator Bongbong. So we have to basically rethink our initial strategy in adopting the president as our vice president. We are presently now in discussions trying to come to a good decision as to what we should now do to adjust to this new situation. We have very little time left, although there is a substitution period. So maybe we'll take them down. Maging mas maliwanag at maging mas clarified ang sitwasyon hindi lamang sa national.
Senator, I hope you don't mind, no? You're coming in and out. Hindi ko po halos naintindihan a big portion of what you said. I'm wondering if sa team po namin, maganda ba ang pasok ni Senator? Okay, so let's take a very short break first. I hope you don't mind because I'd like to understand everything you are telling me. So let's take a short break. Let's fix that. We'll be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Senator, okay, I think we have a better communication right now. You were saying about President Rodrigo Duterte supposedly being your vice president. What happened there?
Well, naturally, we were all surprised when on Saturday we heard the news that si Pangulong Duterte ay umatras bilang kandidato ng Vice Presidente at ipinalit ay si Senator Bongo ng PDP laban. The original plan, as I said before, was that we were going to adopt the president as the vice presidential candidate, of my vice presidential candidate. But with the changes, we have to consult once again. We become very, very busy with the issuance of CONAs and helping with our allies with the COCs, etc. But we will now have to go back and decide, because we have 1 day left after today. We merely have today and tomorrow to decide what the party should do in terms of a vice presidential candidate. So I think hindi lang naman kami yung nagulat nung yung mga nangyari nung Sabado. Palagay ko halos lahat ng mga political observer medyo nagulat na ganun na naging pangyayari.
But I guess what I want to find out, sir, is that if you were planning to adopt him, you could have at least been told, hindi ho ba? Granted na sabihin yung political observers nagulat, true, what happened last Saturday, but you having this plan together with President Rodrigo Duterte, you were not even made aware of that, because that alters your plans one way or another.
Well, it does. Well, no, they were the PDP. I mean, I had spoken to Secretary Alcusi, I had spoken to ES Bingbong Medialdea, I had spoken to Senator Bongo, and I had told them that this is what I had planned to do. And I think that I am not the only one who didn't get informed. Parang it was a very, very very quick, I think, and it was a very late decision made. And hindi na nila ininformahan ang mga iba nilang kasama at basta't ginawa na lang nila. So again, but it is what it is. So we will adjust to it.
Were you offended by that?
No, not at all. They need to do what it is they feel is best for them. I will continue to do what I think is best for me. And seeing as these are the two groups, we are the two groups left in the administration side. In the end, clearly, we will be coming together and helping each other out.
In the end, you will be coming together and helping each other out. Does it mean that, sabi nyo nga, Bongbong, yung pong ibig sabihin ng Bongbong Marcos at Bongo, yun ang
Depende nga sa usapan namin ng partido ko anong dapat gawin. The options are to wait in case the president changes his mind and bumalik siya mag-vice president, to adopt Senator Bongo, or to just continue as we are. That is what we will have to decide. It's I've been saying this for the last several weeks. It is an unusual election. It is an unusual campaign, and we've never really had to deal with circumstances, the political circumstances like this before, wherein every single day, up to and including the days for filing, may development araw-araw, more than one, more than two developments every day. And that's why things are still volatile, they are still in flux. Hanggang ngayon, na penultimate day na, second to the last day na ng filing. So we really have to be fast on our feet and come to some quick decisions. But we have to make sure that this takes into account all of the other events that are going on and that we are anticipating. And to also be planning that maybe what we anticipate is not what's going to happen. So we have to plan for that as well.
So to be clear, your options are who for Vice President? Bongo, sino pa ho?
Marami. It doesn't have to be necessarily Senator Bongo. We might, from our own ranks, marami naman sigurong mga qualified dyan na pwede nating ilagay na bilang Vice Presidente. So again, the idea as to what to do about the vice presidential position, and should we choose to nominate or to have a member file for vice president, who that person will be. Those are the decisions that we have to come up with in the next, actually, not 2 days, in the next day or so.
But what about Mayor Sara Duterte? Is she an option for vice president?
She's always an option, but she has made it very, very clear that she doesn't intend to run for a national position. All the best information that I can get seems to be that Mayor Inday has really decided to to step away from national politics and to run for mayor. She may still change her mind. Again, we have till November 15, and that's why we have to be very careful in taking these steps and to make sure that whatever we do, it can accommodate the changes that we may not be expecting in the next month and a half until November 15.
But if you were given a choice, who would you want as your vice president?
Well, it depends who I was choosing from whom I was choosing from. What are the groups of people that I was choosing from? There are people who would make a good vice president, who could win as vice president, but do not want to run for vice president. So that limits the field. You have to remember that until Saturday, nobody wanted to run for vice president for the simple reason that they would come up against President Duterte. Kaya't lahat sinasabi, ba't pa ako tatakbo? Lalabanan ko si Pangulong Duterte. Ang ganda-ganda ng mga numero niya. Wala akong pag-asang manalo. So nobody was really thinking about vice president. Everybody was saying, well, di mag-senador na ako, tatakbo presidente, whatever it is, pero hindi vice president. Kasi walang gustong tumapat kay PRRD. Natural naman. So that's why talagang I think I can properly use the word nakiwarik talaga lahat ng ating pag-iisip nung umatras si Pangulong Duterte at ipinalit si Senator Bongo bilang vice presidente ng PDP.
Yun pong siguro, maybe to end this topic, Senator, how important is it for you to have some sort of alliance or have a vice presidential bet who is an administration ally?
Well, despite what positions we are running for, I think it's very clear to, again, most political observers who are on the opposition side, who are opposed to the government, and who are on the administration side of the political aisle. And kami na lang talagang natira dito sa administration side. In fact, I think all presidential candidates now have identified themselves with the opposition. So that alliance is as you say, your question was, is it important that we ally ourselves? We are allied already. By circumstances and by past history as well. We have always considered ourselves, myself, as Duterte supporters. And so that alliance has been there since the beginning of his administration and even before that. So yeah, that is an ongoing thing that we will have to strengthen and work on. Because as we all know, especially in politics, these alliances are supremely important. So the question now is not, we have formed those alliances, how to strengthen them and how to use them to maximum effect during the campaign and then subsequently the election.
Senator Marcos, we need to take a very short break. The source will be right back. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, former Senator Bongbong Marcos. Also a controversy. Right after you filed your certificate of candidacy was this emergency text alert. I heard already your lawyer, si Attorney Vic, saying that ito nga ay posibleng mga kalaban nyo pa. But of course, on the other side is saying ginagamit ninyo or ito po ay galing po sa inyong kampo or supporters, this particular text alert, which basically says, Bongbong, malasakit sa bansa, bagong bukas na masagana, BBM for 2022. What is the story behind this, sir? What do you know about it?
I have no idea. On the way from Sofitel to lunch afterwards, around 11:30, something like that, I suddenly got this thing. We all get that, the NDRMC alert, that there's a Lindol o may bagyo. And so I looked at it, ang gulat ko. Yung message was not about an impending crisis or impending disaster, but what it was this message about me. And sabi ko, bakit I immediately I immediately asked, who, I hope we have nothing to do with this because tanong mo nga sa mga kasamahan natin, ginawa ba nila ito? Dahil hindi tama ito, hindi nyo dapat ginagawa yan. And so everybody that we asked who has anything to do with the IT or with admin in the different that have been helping us on social media, wala silang alam diyan. And besides, they said, why would we do that? Makakasira lang sa atin yan. Bakit natin gagawin yun? And so that's why I'm waiting and I'm watching and waiting with what the results will be from the NTC. I've asked my IT team, how can this be done? Apparently, it's not very hard to do. Anybody can do it. It's very easy. There's software that you can find, that you can buy over the internet, and you can use this. It's called masking. You mask it so it looks like the original page. So that's what happens. So it's very hard. It's going to be very hard to identify. But rest assured, this is not something that we would do. First of all, it is illegal. So beyond illegality, if you think about it in political terms, this is of no advantage to me. This is a disadvantage to me. Why would I do such a thing? And so, knowing that, yung mga nagreklamo, ang bilis eh. Halos minutes lang na halos lumalabas pa lang yung message. Marami nang nagre-read. Sabi ko siguro silang gumawa nito. Well, anyway, I filed by as a candidate. Expected natin yan. When it first came out, I immediately said to myself, okay, it's begun. Nag-umpisa na talagang bakbakan, and it's going to get quite maano pa ito.
Mahaba-haba pa to, sir.
Pang-umpisa pa lang ito. It's going to get vicious, clearly.
In fact, even during your Q&A yesterday, you were already being asked certain questions to which you said, not here, not now, ano po, when you were being asked about the graft cases against your mother. So when you declared that you will run, and that day that you declared you would run on Twitter, there were trending topics already, such as BBM is my president, never again. Diyan po lalabas lahat. Controversies, of course, surrounding the Marcos regime, ill-gotten wealth, historical revisionism, and the like. So martial law victims. So let's put this into context. The government, sir, has won a number of cases against the Marcoses. I want to talk about the latest ruling from the Sandigan Bayan that ordered the royal traders, formerly Traders Royal Bank, to pay government close to 350 million pesos. That's equivalent to 100 million pesos and about $5 million. That's just the principal with a 12% interest beginning 1993. And it is said that this is part of the ill-gotten wealth of the Marcoses. This refers to what is supposed to be called bank certificates that supposedly the Marcoses had brought with them to Hawaii when you left the Philippines. First, your reaction to this latest ruling by the Sandigan Bayan.
Well, with that ruling with the Sandigan Bayan, I think that is just all of the ongoing cases that are still being decided. So I mean, I cannot comment because first of all, I have no particulars on this part. I have no information. I have no knowledge about this particular case. I do not know. I have had no involvement with Traders Royal Bank before or since. So I really do not feel that I am qualified to comment on that case. Besides, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't think I can contribute to that discussion.
But when you present yourself as a candidate for president, and supposing, sir, that you win in the 2022 elections, all of these will come up. For example, the 7 counts of graft on your mother by the Sandigan Bayan, which was about, if I'm not mistaken, rendered about 2 to 3 years ago, elevated already to the Supreme Court. In other words, sir, lahat po ito lalabas. How will you, if you win, be able to address issues like this?
Well, the courts are addressing the issues. It's in their place. The place of these issues are in court now. because cases have been filed, because cases are being heard, arguments have been made. So that is how you deal with it. You let the court decide and come to their decision and give their whatever orders that they give, considering their findings. So I don't think, since again these cases are in court, what will the executive do? Interfere with the judiciary? When you say, how do you handle this? It is being handled. It's being handled by the courts. So let's leave them to do their work, and they do their work very well. They will come to a conclusion. They will come to their findings, and they will make their decisions, the appropriate decisions. So I do not know what else needs to be done. It's in court. Cases have been filed. The justices are looking at the judges are looking at the case. They will decide it at some point, and that is the way that we handle such legal questions.
Right. So just to follow up on that, for example, the Supreme Court upholds the decision of the Sandigan Bayan on the 7 counts of graft on your mother. Does that mean, sir, that you will comply? You know, the Marcoses will comply?
Of course, we have complied with every order of
that's
every
7
court
counts of graft
that has ever been issued. I don't think that has been a policy that is a useful policy, is to defy the court. Maybe if you were like the impeachment trial in the Senate can defy the Supreme Court. But as an individual or as a group, we do not defy. We have never done anything like that. We will appeal it. We will MR it. We'll do whatever legal remedies are available to us. But when it is final and executory, and you are ordered by the court to do something, you comply.
There also, just one more thing. There was an interview, sir, with another vice presidential aspirant, si Lito Atienza. At ang sabi po niya ito, dapat daw po mag-sorry kayo po sa Pilipino on the abuses during your father's time. Kailangan daw ayusin na ang ating kasaysayan. So again, I will ask you, sir, will you apologize? This is something that's being asked by, a segment of society, and even to some that might apology is not even enough.
No, there's a small group that an apology will not be enough. Whatever happens, anything will not be enough. They will continue to peddle their hatred of the Marcos family. That's their business. There's nothing I can do about that. But again, this issue of an apology, if you can show me that I have committed some wrongdoing that hurt somebody else, I will go to them and apologize to them immediately. But what can how can you make an apology for some general accusation? Let's talk about specifics. What are the specifics that you were talking about? What are these wrongdoings that you want me to apologize for? I can only apologize for myself, but I'm willing to do that if I have done something wrong, and that neglect or that wrongdoing has been damaging to somebody. I will try to right that damage. But again, I don't know how that apology is supposed to work. And as you mentioned, I suspect that no matter what apologies you give, it won't be enough. It's not been enough because the political forces opposing my father. Let us remember, his government fell. They won. So that side of the political aisle has been dominant for since '86. So I'm not sure what it is that I guess a pound of flesh, but how can we respond? How can we respond to something like that? We will not listen to reason, or will not actually look at the facts of the matter, and again, stay with general accusations as opposed to specific instances of wrongdoing. Then we can start talking about an apology. Specific instances of wrongdoing that I committed, that I can apologize for. I cannot apologize for what other people have done. I can apologize for what I have done.
So you cannot apologize. To be clear on this, Senator, you cannot apologize for what happened during the reign of your father, because there is already an act, the Republic Act 10368, which is really an act providing for reparation and recognition of victims of human rights violations. So you cannot apologize for what happened during your father's 20-year rule, wherein there is a law that legitimizes human rights violations. Go ahead, sir.
Let's turn it around. I can only apologize for what I have done, and that seems to make for me that makes perfect sense. You cannot apologize for what somebody else has done. It's not my doing, and an apology will be meaningless anyway. So the only kind of apology that's going to cut any ice is an apology from me for what I have done.
I need to move on, sir. Unifying president was part of a phrase you used yesterday and the other day. Ano po? Let's be clear on this, sir. When you say unifying president, what exactly do you mean? Because I did hear a part of your speech yesterday na sinasabi, unify the country in this fight against the pandemic, unify this country so that we can open the economy. What do you mean by unifying president, sir?
Well, right now we are not moving. We are not moving as one country, because there's so much politics. Despite the fact that we are faced with a pandemic, the political forces are still beginning to come into play in the actual function of government, and that is not unifying. That is polarizing, like what politics necessarily is. And I think that we have to think beyond that, because if we cannot tackle this COVID if we do not help each other, I think the government has to be moving, doing the things that government can do. The private sector is also trying very hard to do their bit. Each individual has to do their bit. Everybody has to wear their mask, has to try and stay healthy, try and stay safe. All of these things have to, every single person, every single citizen, we need them to be part of the solution, especially when it comes to COVID. But when you say that we are trying to open again, we are trying to reopen and try to revitalize the economy. The first part of revitalizing the economy will be to defeat COVID, to be vaccinated, to have a large segment of our populations achieve that herd immunity that we've been hearing about for over a year. And so that is part and parcel of the same thing. You cannot start your economic recovery until you have somehow managed, and we use the word now manage, because it's not going to go away, but we will learn to manage it like other countries already have done. And that's the level of joint effort that we want to achieve. Sa ngayon, I guess the fact that we are also in the start of the political cycle, that may have a lot to do with it. But the unity that we haven't seen, it's the sense of nationhood that we seem to have lost, that we should all be working for the Philippines. We should all be working for yung ating mga kapwa Pilipino. Sa ngayon, hindi ganun eh. Ang trabaho ngayon para sa partido, ang trabaho ngayon para sa individual, para sa ambisyon ng ganito, para yung mga lumalabas, yung mga nagte-take advantage, nag-hoard para kumita. Yun ang mga people are working at cross purposes. And that is what we want. We want to synchronize our efforts so that mas malaki ang magagawa natin, mas marami ang magagawa natin, mas mabilis ang ating pag-ahon dito sa krisis na ito.
Senator, marami pa ho akong tanong, but we've run out of time. 30 minutes on television. We will continue. I hope you don't mind. We'll continue our conversation on our Facebook page, because we need to talk about current issues as well. So in the meantime, sir, I'd like to thank you for joining us here on television, and our viewers, thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.